But this anti-Christian spirit which is working in the world has also come into our holy church and bringing desorientation till the top of the church. So the church is going to lose the prophetic correction of the world. When they preach the gospel, they are not so much, of course, always there are, but in general, from the top of the church, not so much taking care of real conversion of persons. They have ecological ideas, which are of course not bad, but this is not the point. What we have to do in the church, we have to do the church to bring the gospel that all people, even Muslims, Buddhists, whoever, will know who is Christ and what is this, what they don't have, because they are missing that maybe without knowing, So we have no orientation, and even it happens that within the church they cooperate with anti-Christian forces. So faithful people sometimes do not any longer know where to go. So it's a hard situation. And also people of the world, because normally the church should give a clear light. This is according to God, and this is not according to God. Maybe people do not want to hear it and do not follow, but they know what is. But if the church is not longer giving in the predications like this, which kind of orientation people have, how can they know more about Christ? How can people convert through the predication of those who are called to do that? So we have really a misery also in the church, in the world. So those people now who understand it's important to bring the gospel to the people. It's important to live a way of holiness. Absolutely necessary. And especially in those times, because we are not longer so much carried by the general conviction. In past, of course, there were immer sins, but there was a general conviction, for example, in Europe, from Christianity. It's going to disappear. Sometimes nearly totally disappearing. So we are not carried by society. We are not carried by those people. We have to look for some people who are still following Christ as he wants. So in this time, when there's so much darkness, and I tell it, it's the Antichrist darkness, we have to deepen our conversion. We have to understand it's not only for us. When we go with Jesus, when we follow him, when his light is shining in us, when we live also as an example for other people, hopefully, then they will understand. And then maybe they will come in this time of darkness, desorientation. You know what happened the last 3 years. I need not to explain it to you. This desorientation. Also these false measures of this injections and so on and so on and so on. Horrible. But now people ask, what is? And in this demanding and asking, we should bring the gospel. So everybody who listens to me, please, if you are far away, come closer. Speak with Jesus. Ask, who are you? Let me know you. He will answer. And those who are following, who are already following, please go deeper. Say to the Lord, I want to be an instrument of your love. I want to be an instrument of truth. I want to be steadfast in the faith. And this is what Catholics really have to do, to be very clear to the ground what Jesus said and what the Church is teaching, and not following modern errors. Please, not. This is not only important for our own sanctification. It's important for the message. It's important for other people. Then our life can be also a part of healing for people, because they have to be healed from sins. Maybe also other parts of healing can take place, Jesus healed a lot of people. And also the other point, he also freed possessed people. That means those people who are under the influence of the devil. If you are living in the light, if you are bringing the gospel, then the light has to go. Of course, when people are possessed, it needs special prayers. That's not for everybody to do that. Yes. If you follow the light of Christ, then the darkness has to go. This you have to reflect and to know. Each step we do with Jesus is taking away the darkness. The darkness has to go. Therefore, it's a time also of liberation. Liberation from this dark cloud which is around people. Dark cloud in nearly all countries. Yes, also we have to reflect, not to go with Jesus. What does this mean? There is like a little silence about this, but that's not good to take a silence because this has consequences. If I don't go with the grace of God, then I will follow my own ideas. I will follow ideologies. I might even follow the influence of the devil. And when the devil succeeded in our life, that we live in sin, and our heart gets closed, and we do not follow the invitation of Christ, which is always there, always coming to us, what is the consequence of it? We separate ourselves from God. And our life is not only the decades of years we might live, it's an eternal life. And so it can happen what should not happen, of course. We have to pray for that. That you will be in eternity separated from God, what we say hell, and then you are under the influence of the demons, and they don't treat you well. That means they hate us, and they are bad, very bad inside. They're going to destroy, they are doing to hurt people. So please, that is the consequence if we do not follow God and follow the dark side. So we can see it also in the life already, when people are not living according to the commandments of God. It will come a time when things are not so beautiful as they think, and they are living in darkness, and they have a lot of faults, a lot of bad things done. The moment of death will come. It's not that we can say, then we are not, when we are bad, then we go away. No, we will be in responsibility for what you're doing. So also in our predication should be the clear point, if you don't follow God and you separate for yourself, you also have to carry the consequences. And it can be, in the worst case, in the very, very worst case, a life in eternal darkness. As I said, I hope nobody will be there, but there will be some. We have to pray that it does not happen for those people. Yes, now a last point, that's more a personal point, but it's not a personal point in this case, that's only for me. It is 1 year ago that I had the impression to ask the Lord if we cannot have, in spite or in this time of confusion in which we are living in the world and also in the church, a time for evangelization. That people know who Christ is, that there is a special grace for that, that people will be reached, in their heart. And I asked this, and I asked for 7 years. And I had the inner safety that God was listening to my prayer, answering to my prayer. I understood his answer. So from this moment on, I understood 7 years, it can be, that does not mean that after the 7 year all is over. I don't speak in this way. But like 7 years, maybe it's a time when a figure like an Antichrist will come. The time before. And as I said, it's already under the shadow of an Antichrist. You notice the shadow each day, But we have not to concentrate to the shadow. We have to concentrate to the light. And so the 7 years I gave in the responsibility, or better to say, I asked St. Paul, of course, St. Paul to help us. Because he was so full of fire, full of light. He was a light going through this world. That people who are with me or living out there and hear from this message will say, yes, we will do all our concentration, all our efforts to bring the gospel to the world, which is, I repeat, the most important thing we can do. The most important honor God can give us, that we participate in His searching for people, in His love to people, in His inviting of people. 7 years. There are conditions, clear. You have to keep the commandments. At least you have to try with all your force to do it. If not, how can you evangelize? It's impossible, because then the grace is not working in your heart. And of course, you have to be very clear in following Christ. Not to make this or false compromises or following modern things. That's not possible. It's so important, the gospel, that it must be pure. Pure means in truth, not mixed with worldly attitudes, not mixed with special ideas. Now we have to bring Christ, not our ideas, to the world. He Himself. And of course, maybe it can touch your heart. At least you can pray for that. And do you know, I shared with you that now the 2nd year is coming. We had 1 year. And afterwards, I spoke this. We will be together to reflect and see what God did in this 1 year. And it was, as I see, very fruitful. And I hope the next year will be even more fruitful, that we can bring all what is important in all ways which are possible. And justified, of course, always with freedom, to bring it to people. Maybe you can support it with your prayer. You feel, what can I do? You can ask me. Maybe I can give you an advice what you can do specially for this mission to bring the gospel in this darkness, in these dark times. And the light will overcome the darkness. The darkness will have to go. We don't know how long, but we have to trust. Jesus comes back and He prepares His return. And I think this mission might be a part of the preparation of His return coming to us, and to complete everything in Him and to whatever He will do then. Also, we have to take care, and I give it in other speeches, that an Antichrist can come before. It is said. He will come before. It's not only I suppose it's written. But of course, we never know exactly the time. I'm a little bit in distance when people exactly know what time will there. Often it does not take like this, So I'm a little bit, let's say, prudent at this point, I hope, a little bit, to say when time has come, God alone knows it. But we have to live as if Jesus can come each day, and we should be prepared. And what He would like? Very clear. That we work in His vineyard. That we really work on our sanctification. That the love can transform us. That we are more loving people. To love God more and also to love people more. That's very clear. And that we share the gospel on all the ways He trusted us. That He will love very much, you can be sure. So this is what I want to share today with you at this day. I love St. Paul very much. I'm thankful that he answered so brilliantly to the call of God. And you can pray for me that I can also answer, if it's possible, brilliantly to the answer to the call of God, to help people to come closer to Christ. And because this is, as I said, the most important. Laudetur Jesus Christus. In aeternum. Amen.